Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We're excited to have our next guest joining us today, John Goulait, who is our ancestry expert. He's helping us connect and looking back to the past to find out our genealogy, to find out more about our family, our friends, our heritage, you name it. He does it. John, let me have you say hello and please introduce yourself to everyone.
Well, hello. That's the way to say it too. And good
Yeah.
afternoon or good day.
Yeah.
I am John Goulait. I am the chief cook and bottle washer at Looking Back. I have help with my wife and a few other people, but mostly my wife and myself. And you can contact me anytime at my uh, well, online you can get me through our you get me at jgoulait, JGOULAIT dot at JGOULAIT. I'm sorry, I'm flustered a little bit here.
That's
But look at it.
okay.
Yeah,
Lookingback.net. You can find them also
yeah, yeah, yeah,
lookingback.net.
yeah.
And he began the company in 2019 after working on his own family history. And
Right.
that's back in 1996. My gosh. So all the experience you've gained after that led you to this field. Tell us a little bit more about the company and what you do.
Okay, what we will do is if you would like, we can hopefully find your ancestors, and you should have plenty, whoever you are. Sometimes it gets a little harder for some than others. And basically it's a hunt. It's a research hunt, and we just hunt and hunt and hunt and until we get the right thing. And if we can't, we tell you so. But in
Mm-hmm.
most cases, we can find things. It takes sometimes, but in today's matter, it's much better than it was a while back. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes it on itself a long better. But anyway, uh, we can do that. We can also help you if you've been working on your own or want to try working on your own. Give you some hints and everything. But if you get stuck and get to what we call a brick wall, we're the people to call.
Beautiful.
We can break brick walls most of the time. Not every time though. They can get to be stinkers.
Mm-hmm.
But we can do that. If you just want information on one particular thing in your family, maybe we can help you, maybe we can't, but we can always discuss things. I'm not going to start out with saying I'll do this and I'll do that until we talk a while, because I want to know what you need too.
Yeah.
Again, also, if you need research done in either up in Washington, D.C. or in Richmond, Virginia, or any of the probably counties of Virginia, I can probably give you a hand at that. I can go and hunt in a lot of places there because that's where I'm at.
Mm.
And we can do that and see what we can find. And some days it's good, some days it's bad, but
Yeah.
we usually find something. It's surprising how much you can find out and what you learn. That's I think the part about it that I like best is I'm always learning history, and it's not always just history of the family because it's history of the countries they were from, or and that add to it. Uh, just looking today about some of the things on my family, trying to just check some things in the back, and I found some more interesting things on my forefathers that were the first to land here in around 1636.
Wow.
So we've been around as long as y'all have here in Virginia. So pretty near anyway. Uh,
Amazing.
except we were in French Canada, or New France at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it was, in fact, my family is recorded as one of the founding families of New France. So that's how far we go back. And
Amazing.
you can just dig stuff up all the time as you're moving along and find out more about people. I just looked up today just for kicks on my Jacques Goulait, who was the first one to come to North America, and he has a good spread now on Wikipedia. Uh, in fact, a lot of the stuff that I found, somebody else probably found, and we all got somebody, because of how Wikipedia works, they've got a pretty good representation of everything,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought good because it was from when he was born till when he died, and what all he did and how he came over. And I think it was 1636 is what I read, and developed. He was a miller,
Wow.
and he opened a worked for some of the other millers that were here, then got his own milling place, and he did very well. Uh, he when he retired, well, when he was, I forget when it was exactly. Well, when he died, at that time he let's see, he had 10 cows, a lot of money. He had one horse,
Mm-hmm.
and for that, that's pretty good at that time. And he had, I think, 500. They don't call it acres here, but I forget that. They don't call it hectares. They got another name for it then, but 500 of them too. So it was pretty interesting to find out things like that.
Yeah.
What we do a lot of the times, and I've tried and working on, is just writing the story, and you write a narrative story from where you're starting to where you go, and
Yeah.
pick up and talk about other people that come into that line that feed into you, and how it works, and it's rather interesting, to
Great.
say the least. Drives me crazy sometimes. The
But
eyes get tired,
mm-hmm.
but once you start, you can't quit. That's what you'll find with anybody that's does genealogy. Most of them, we know that we live to just work on the computers or go visit graveyards, go visit different places to get
Mm-hmm.
information. Uh, in DC, all the buildings up there that they will have the things, the National Archives,
Yeah.
and that, and you can find a plethora of information when you get there. Uh, I have I would assume an uncle,
Oh.
and I have to make this assumption because I can't be real sure, but he was living with my
Mm-hmm.
grandfather when they moved to the U.S. in 1868, and they were in the 18. I get those, got to
Wow.
say the right way.
Yeah.
1870 census, by the name of, yep, not Anthony. We don't do those. We do. Oh well. Anyway, uh, his brother was living with him at that time, and what was interesting, and that I'm right now trying to research on him, is the fact they both were had gained citizenship, from what I understand. And the one brother that was living with him, uh, he couldn't vote because unfortunately he was listed as insane.
Mm-hmm.
But we do know that he did, according to what I found, he had a boat, and during the Civil War he did a lot of work for the Civil War trade.
Wow.
So it was yet I can't find him but listed within any of the ranks of soldiers, or the Navy. But I'm still hunting that. There's always looking for something new to complete the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're doing, and
Wow.
we do the. I do my own. I've done it for a few other people, and they've been pleased, and finding where things can happen. And it's just an ongoing thing. You just have to be working and doing a lot of keeping notes, writing notes, however you want to keep them, in papers and recommendations. Because as I've stated to other people, when you're going to do it, you have to do it the right way, and that's actually getting out there and getting the information, know that it's viable and good information, and you have to credit everything you put down with that information, how you got it.
Yeah.
So when a person was born, you can get birth certificates in a lot of cases. Unfortunately, a lot of things in the earlier ones that I've noticed and that I've had to do actually is uh, not have a birthday, but the date they're baptized,
Mm-hmm.
and that gives you a good idea because a lot of times, especially in French Canada in the early days, the priests was a it was full of almost all Catholic in those days, and the priests were all traveling priests or monks or whatever they were. So it might be 8 weeks later before they come to town, and then they get baptized. So it can be a little different that way because people didn't have a recollection of time like we do today. They didn't. A lot of people didn't know how to read or write. The
Mm-hmm.
majority of them did not at the time. Uh, some did, some didn't.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's just like my great grandfather never, as far as in the census, could
Okay.
read or write. I mean, he couldn't read or write. So,
Wow.
but I've never seen anything with his X on it yet. I'm looking for
Mm-hmm. And we'll
because I
continue to.
understand he did own property. I've got to try to research that again a little deeper now in the annals of Michigan and the port here in St. Clair area to find out what's going on. So
Uh-huh.
that's what we do. And on my other side, that not my other side of the family, but on the Goulait line, great great my second great grandfather was came out. His name was Durand, and his wife was Genevieve Durand,
Okay.
and they came. I traced that family all the way back to one to France, and also to Louis's wife or Louise' wife, who was a Indian. I can't call her Indian princess because they don't have Indian princess, but she was the daughter of a chief,
Mm-hmm.
and that was at around 16, around the time that my uh, great grandfather, which was Jacques Goulait, would have was coming in. They were getting married in 1836 or 38, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
he had 3 kids with her. He died young, unfortunately, and she remarried. But the 2 boys that he had carried the line on. So the Duran line came up to me through my great great grandfather. So I've traced that to the could be to indigenous, and in Canada, that's another thing. They have indigenous, and they also have what they call Métis or Metis, Metis,
Mm-hmm.
and that is mixed blood. And the Goulet line, we have a lot of people in that through some other ways. One of the lines that I traced wholeheartedly because he was my first male match back in 2006 when I finally got one.
Mm-hmm.
10 years later, I traced his whole line way back, all the way back to him from when they came in and who their son was. And they were that particular side of the family broke into the Métis line going into Western Canada and through Red River and the fights and the order fights that they had. And the Métis were very instrumental in developing Western Canada
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, from Red River, probably Minnesota, which is Minnesota line
Mm-hmm.
uh, up and over. And they've had some pretty well-known people in that group as far as people that travel and do the history involved. And they are relatives, and maybe a long way away, but we're all related, which is the whole thing too. That's the other thing I kind of kid about, but it's very true. Once if you came into Canada, your family came in as early as ours did in the beginning there, the
Mm-hmm.
1600s and up till about 1725, you're probably related to about 3/4 of the Canadian
Wow.
population, of the French population, because of the way that things spread at that time. So it gives you a lot to think about, uh, and a lot to be interested in. My wife, I mean, she's can't be with us today because she's busy with another thing, but she is my specialist on the Eastern European or Western European, whichever way you want to call it, but the Polish, the Balkans, and the Ukrainians, and that. And her family lived in a town called Dobra, which is in Poland now. And at the time, it was a few other things. Because they were trading countries down there, like we traded green stamps, I think, for a while.
Yeah.
And but so it can be a fun trace, and she has had a lot of fun with it. In fact, she got it. Well, she got into a lot later when there was a lot more out there than I did. So, but she is traced and has relatives pretty well all over the place, including there, and a lot have moved to Canada, uh, and they're up in that area. And then we've got them in between. A lot of them ended up in the coal mines up in Pennsylvania and that sort of thing. Her particular family ended up in Jamestown, New York,
Mm-hmm.
where they were in leather goods, and they were worked for the leather factories and that. So they had their trades, and they built that way. So and you learn all about that. I myself am still searching my uh, mother's side of the family because, again, the strangeness of it all is we always were told they're German, which they are.
Wow. Yeah.
Uh, but unfortunately, he was born in 1871, which is the year that around the time that that area became Prussia, where he was in,
Mm-hmm.
which was way over in Poland. So it was right near the Russian line at that time. So
Wow.
where that came in. So I'm trying to trace that. So it was before Prussia came in, uh, but he came into the country in 1891 into New York City, and then he, well, that was my great grandfather. I'm sorry, came in 18. No, yeah, no, my grandfather and my great grandfather and the
Mm-hmm.
Canadian on my mother's side came in that year on
Wow.
different ships at different times, and his mother. Uh, so I'm told, and I can't get any. I'm trying to look this up too. His mother died on the
Mm-hmm.
way over, and she was buried at sea.
Ah.
And I'm trying to get the information on that because I know that my great grandfather remarried, uh, not soon, but fairly soon after he came into the country. And he ended up in northern Minnesota. My grandfather ended up, he was went to North Dakota to try to homestead land, he and his brother Frederick. And he didn't last. They
Oh.
lasted about 3 years. Two of my aunts and one uncle were born
Mm-hmm.
in North Dakota, and then he moved to Superior, Wisconsin, through northern Minnesota, where he married his wife, uh, who was a Dickhoff, Louisa Dickhoff, uh, and then they ended up in Superior, Wisconsin, in the early 1900s, and he had four more kids there. Uh,
Wow.
so that is where I've gotten with that family, and trying to get beyond that second grandfather has been or great grandfather has been the bugaboo here so far. But I'll get it. I'll keep my nose and get it one of these days.
I
Then
love
I'll
it.
have my aha moment.
Aw. Well, it's amazing because the work you're doing, it just relates to everyone. And I urge people, I lost my mom 6 years ago, and I should have, we had some time she had cancer, like to write things down, the dates, the history, all that, which I regret. And I just want to urge everyone, yeah, as we get older, we should keep a journal of this stuff, and we should give it to other family members in an email and
Yeah.
print it. I mean, like it would just make things so much easier if we start now. I hope like my kids, they'll have all that from me, but and make things easier. But
All
it's
right.
just so important to find family is, it's your
Uh,
history is so
Yeah,
rich with
when
so
you're
many
growing up,
things.
when you're growing up, you don't think of these things, and
It's
it's
true.
there when you're young.
Yeah.
And when I say young, a lot of kids. And I
Mm-hmm.
was fortunate to have my grandfather, but I was too young to know then. I was 6 when he died, so I wasn't thinking anything about that. And my dad, the only thing he ever told me is I asked him, "Did we have Indian?" He said, "Well, I think we had an Indian princess, but I think that's a story they all tell." And
Yeah.
then you find out when you check it that there are no Indian princes. And the nice part that you do learn about the indigenous land, if you're related at all, is actually it's a
Yeah.
matriarchal society. The women are really the bosses. The men are the hunters.
Yeah.
And so it's again, you learn these things, and it's interesting to know. It's something to keep in your mind and live with very easily.
Yeah.
So you just can't quit once you get going. I mean, I'll sit there at night and I'll turn on the computer or have it in front of me sometimes and be watching the TV, and then all of a sudden I just go and start hunting. And my wife will yell at me, "You aren't watching this." And I say, "What they say?" And I say, "I don't know." But she does the same too sometimes. So it's turned about as fair play, but it's worth the hunt. It's worth the information. We're quite willing to help you in any way we can. I like to tell people that you can get started, do a little looking and around, and you can check on some of the sites that have some recommendations for starting
Mm-hmm.
uh, doing your own
Okay.
genealogy. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, and the people that we tend to serve seem to tend to serve, are those that just do not have the time to do it, or feel they don't have the time or the knowledge, or
Yeah.
some people just, like I say, they want to know, but they don't want to do anything at all about
Yeah.
it. So that's where the type of people we do.
Oh,
And,
well.
we only, how we charge is by the hour, but it's broken into increments. If I work for 10
Beautiful.
minutes,
Well,
yeah, I
thank you. I
charge you for that.
apologize. I have to wrap us up. We're over the time. I know we got a late start due to some technical issues, but I'm glad you're here. John Goulait, remind us how we can reach out to you directly, please.
All righty, you can either get to find out about us at www, looking back, LOOKINGBACK.net. You can
Perfect.
also write to me directly at JGOULAIT at lookingback.net. And otherwise, net, if you look, you'll find our webpage, a way to contact us.
Okay.
And if you want to ask a few questions, I'll answer you as quickly as I can. Same thing, you can call me at 804-445-9681.
Great. Thank you so
If
much for being here and looking above. Don't forget, check them out, John and his team, willing to help with your family history and research. Thank you so much for your time. Have a fantastic day. Happy Passover, happy Easter, whatever you celebrate. And to all of our listeners, we'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.